Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to AirsickHydra, and today we're going to be playing as the Tower Protectors against the Orcs. Now, we're playing against a pretty decent player here for Moser. I've been very impressed, and I played him before. He's played well, and I've picked this game for you guys today. I've obviously already played this through. This is now me doing a commentary of it, but I picked this game because I think there's a few mistakes I make that we can learn from, and some things that I think are very, very valuable to discuss, as well as it being a pretty enjoyable and decent game. So, as you can see with my fleet, fairly predictable for a tower player. We've gone for the one custodian for the extra glorious amount of ordnance and fighters. They're pretty damn valuable, having tier 6 bombers. It's pretty nuts. And as well as that, we obviously have our 5 little escorts here. We get 2 or 3 of them for free, and of course we've picked Nikasar and something else as well. And of course we have the 3 bodyguard here, the 3 stooges that are here to look after our custodian, hopefully keep it alive for a little while. Now, in terms of the map orientation and what we're going to be prioritising, we have a gas cloud here in the bottom left. This is looking pretty attractive. We're going to be heading straight toward it with the majority of our fleet, and we're going to see what we can do with it. It seems that we're having a little bit of trouble with the mouse there, just getting my button unstuck. If you see me clicking several times somewhere, that's why. Having some mouse dramas at the moment. So I'm going to be moving straight into that gas cloud, basically to break line of sight for him. It prevents him sending out ordnance and things of that nature. And speak of the devil, right, there comes a scanning probe, and we don't have an escort heading straight for it. Guys, take note of this. Normally I would try and intercept with an escort, and it's basically heading straight down for the gas cloud here. We're going to discuss this in a moment, but the ordnance right now I'm not too concerned with, because I have quite a lot myself, although it looks like he's got 3 waves of 4, which is going to be at least 12 bunches or batches of fighters. I have a tier 6 and 3 tier 2s, so I do have the same. However, my tier 2s will die fairly fast. Now, what we've managed to do is break line of sight here, which has bought us a little bit of time. By breaking line of sight and rushing into that cloud, fighters automatically go back, which tells us they were on an attack order. But it does seem that that probe has gone straight into the cloud here, and that's not particularly good, because now he can see me and shoot me, and he can send out more ordnance toward me. What kind of sucks in this is he doesn't have any escorts anywhere near me. Orcs, unless they're rolling the blood axes, they're not able to actually stealth, so this means you know where their escorts are. And as you can see, we've already sent some ordnance of our own up to his escorts in the top right side. This is one of my top priorities against an orc that's not taking a lot of escorts, because if you can take them down... Damn, they were actually boarding torpedoes. I was kind of just expecting a little tickle from a torpedo, but there you go. Now, it does seem that our escorts here have been pulled back, which is totally not intentional, and yeah, we need to prioritise taking these points, because it does seem that we've got a decent amount of escorts and we should be able to be pushing for map control here. So our ordnance is heading on over. We're going to see how they do against those escorts in a moment. There's 3 of them over there. If we can take those 3 down, that leaves him with 4 more blips, so that's only 4 circles he can occupy on the map, which is something really important to consider. So now we have our first wave incoming, and I know I'm sitting there in a scanner right now. Now we start sending out a bunch of fighters to intercept. We're not on brace for impact right now, at least I believe not. Now this, I think, is one of my first blunders. What I've done is I've sent out a tier 6 unit straight away. But what I haven't done is allowed that to engage before sending out the others. You see, that tier 6 unit could perhaps have tanked, let's say, while the tier 2 units also attacked. So I think I could have done the order a little bit better. I would have risked losing the tier 6 unit, but it might have been worth it. We also obviously have all the turret shooting, although I don't think I've done a decent job of clumping my units as well. Bit of a mistake on my part, so we're obviously losing quite a lot of turrets here, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful of the next wave of ordnance. We managed to pull out another unit of fighters. These are only tier 2, which means they're probably going to go down, but it will save me from losing another 5 turrets on this ship, and it will allow me to kill the rest of his units. Another wave of bombs coming in. That's looking pretty dangerous, and yeah, so a little bit of a mismanagement there, and of course I have been punished a little bit. We have gone on to brace for impact, although it's a little bit late. Perhaps we should have kited. It would have been perhaps preferable in this position. Of course, we're kiting now against these torpedoes. We're pulling back and just trying to shoot a few of them down. Next wave of fighters are here, and we're able to use those to actually knock him out. So perfect. Now we're in a slightly safer position. Torpedoes are being taken down, and we're managing to kite them away. Now you notice I'm occupying 3 points on the map. You'll also notice in the far right hand, well, northeast side of the map, there's only 2 little blips left. We've managed to take down 1 escort and the other one is nearly dead. And okay, he's got a 3rd healthy one, we'll come for that later, but this is good for us because this gives us a lot more map control. And it also reduces his ability to scan me if I'm in stealth or in a cloud or something of that nature. Now obviously he's gone for the probe in there again, so he's got vision on me. He can actually send out as much ordnance as he likes. It's nice to see, or it's interesting to see rather, that he's gone for defensive ordnance now. He's gone for defensive fighters, basically looking after his ships, which is interesting because I actually have a lot more DACA than him. Perhaps if I'd seen that I could maybe take advantage of this and try to fight him a little bit, but oh no, there comes another wave of the blighters. So we have plenty of fighters of our own here. We've got a stack of 3 and it looks like we've even got more just come off of cooldown, so we can take advantage of this and we should have absolutely loads to take down these 2 squadrons of fighters heading our way. So there we go, there's an absolute bucket ton of them heading out and we're going to reinforce them just a little bit to try and make sure that we don't lose any. That's a lot of fighters, we should take them down pretty quick. So we're also engaging up here. It does seem that the missile unfortunately misses the escort, manages to circle around it while being shot down, so that was a little bit embarrassing. Perhaps could have done a slightly better job of aiming that maybe toward the rear of the unit so it would then move around and sort of hit it from the rear. Maybe that wouldn't be the more effective thing because then he'd get more shooting time. Difficult to say really. So our first wave of missiles heading out, and this is also a little bit of a blunder on my part because what you can notice is he's got plenty of fighters there sat on defence. So what's going to happen? Well, that's all of those missiles basically gone. They're not going to do anything. He's now trying to close the gap on me, and despite the fact that I actually think I have a lot more firepower than him, I'm pulling out. I'm basically retreating here, so I'm trying to get a little bit more distance. My ranged firepower is pretty impressive, so we can pull back and we can try. Oh, we missed the stasis bomb. Little bit slow there. 1 unit is just about to make its way out, but one of them does get caught, and here come the fighters heading back toward me. Yes, indeed, it looks like they're doing quite a bit of damage actually. I think I could have responded much faster with a custodian. That means we've basically just lost 3 units of tier 2 fighters there, I believe, so that's kind of a little bit unfortunate. I might have even wasted a unit of bombers, but with those fighters heading back, we now have a pretty clean path to engage here on this unit on the left hand side. So we're sending in a bunch of bombers, we're sending in just a bunch of everything, as much as we can to just deal a little bit of damage. The fighters are hopefully tying him up and the bombers are just being wasted. So not very good use of ordnance from me here. I think I really needed to try and take down these fighters, but it was actually nice to see him very smartly using these fighters to defend, or always having at least 1 squadron on defence. So this is basically a game of kiting now, taking advantage of my extra firepower, my extra range, and the ability to just lay down a little bit of pain. He does have the zapper and he does have a couple of guns on these units, but with their tier 4 fighters, that's pretty much what all of their the points value is invested into. Now we can see a little bit of a blunder here. What we've done is we've split up a lot, and this isn't particularly good. It's not good, well, for an obvious reason. We're against a carrier fleet. He's got tier 4s, which means if he sends one of those on any one of my units, I'm not going to be able to defend, no matter how long I kite for, because a tier 4 just takes too long to kill. You see me moving this unit out now, but to be honest, at the moment it's separated, it's only a matter of time. There comes the boarding and there comes the other stuff. That's not good. We do have a unit of bombers here. That's probably not going to be enough though to save it. So a tactical blunder from my part here. We're basically retreating all the other units and spread out far too much. See the boarders coming in here. Now unfortunately, if that was a unit of fighters, they would have been a little bit more effective. So thus far my ordnance play in this has been pretty bad. It's been pretty damn poor. Missiles again circling around. I'm guessing that he's using the red button to juke it. I can only imagine so, because he's not getting hit by it. I'm very impressed. He's doing good, or maybe I'm just aiming them terribly, who knows. So we do have our ships on the way out now. We're just going to try and move them the hell away. We've got 50% damage mitigation when boosting with them, which is pretty nice, because orc accuracy is not particularly good anyway. Minus another 50% and you're pretty safe when running away with this ability. So it's pretty effective, although we are sacrificing a little bit of the extra crit from the lock-on start. So that's something to be aware of. But on the plus side, we are capturing the 5th points, or the 4th and 5th point on the map right now. He sent 1 unit over to capture. Now what really sucks here is I've got 1 scuttled ship on the left that's actually pretty healthy, and I could have quite easily recaptured that. Even if it had got caught and it was near my other units, we could have captured it back and we could have used it still, sent out more fighters, etc., and still used it. So very, very much a blunder on my part. I think it's very safe to say that he's done a much better job thus far of managing his ordnance appropriately. He's used some defensively, and the tier 4s are definitely very, very, very strong. Again, I think I've used my tier 2s. I'm referring to them as tiers, and hopefully you guys know what I mean, but I've used too many of those tier 2s as frontline, when I think the tier 6 really needed to be the first to engage, and then the tier 2s to follow, because as you can see, quite a few of my units are pretty low on fighters now, and well, looking a little bit shaky here and a little bit risky. We've got 3 more units coming in, and that could potentially be a little bit troublesome for us. There is a stasis bomb which we could use. It does seem that he's actually sending in some boarding torpedoes as well. So these are boarding units, but we have a tier 6 here, thankfully, to defend, and they are going to make really, really short work. Even though he's got so many enemy fighters here, with our 2 units of turrets, which is a total of 30 turrets, things should be... Is that 30 or 40? That is 40 turrets. No, that's 30. Goddamn Hydra, go back to school. Go back and get a damn education. Right. Anyway, let's see what's going on in the rest of the map now. He's gone back into the gas cloud, getting himself his blip status. Seems that he's kind of given up on using ordnance to kill me over here. So I've got my 2 units on the bottom right hand side that are fairly safe. Got a unit in the gas cloud up in the middle as well, again looking fairly safe. It does seem though that we've taken a little bit of a pounding. He's got 4 units left, but they don't have much going for them. They're very, very slow. And only need 1,000 points to make it toward the end, and we own 4 points currently. And it's going to probably take him another 500 points before he can even decapture one. Orcs are damn slow. We're going to be sending in some bombers too. Now it's unlikely they're going to make it all the way there, especially as any single one of his units can just pump out another unit of fighters, and that pretty much counters me. But we're going to try and take down this unit on the left, because if we can, that's going to give us that extra little push of points to hopefully push us over the edge. Now we don't have another unit of fighters, which kind of sucks, and we can see him starting to actually split up now. Split up, spread out. It looks like he's probably going to try and go for 1 ship on each point. He went for the kill on the far left as well, just to bag himself an extra couple hundred points. Even having done that though, he's only on 800, which really shows how much of a difference killing those early escorts has made. Even though I did split off one of my units to go and kill 2 of the escorts by moving it up to the gas cloud over here, I almost feel that that was worth it. I split the one off over on the left, which is probably a bad call. The one on the right was able to quickly move into a gas cloud and get somewhere fairly or relatively safe, but what really has saved me in this game is the ability or having killed the escorts. Now, one thing I really like what he's done here is he's moved his unit on the left hand side right around some debris on the map. All of those missiles didn't look like they were actually going to hit. They were going to hit the debris on the map, and if we go back and look over in a second, come on Hydra, go have a little peep. Oh dear, that unit's not looking too healthy. That's not looking too healthy. So here we are, yes. Still got just as much health. I think it's fairly safe to say that these guys didn't do much. So we do still have some ordnance there. We have some bombers heading in. It seems that he might be finally out of fighters. Finally. So now we've got a little bit of Dakar coming in. We just need to kill a ship or 2 and we should be okay. He's capturing these points back. Now I could have perhaps decapped on the left hand side. I do have an escort sat in the middle of the map that I could have done that with. That probably would have been a sensible thing to do. We can also work on moving this unit out. Unfortunately, still no more fighters left, so that, again, that kind of sucks. But we're going to move this back over toward here. Perhaps that way, if it does get scuttled, we're going to recapture it. It's also going to force him to cluster his units away from the right side of the map, where I only really need to continue to hold 2 points in order to get the win. Now, it does mean I also missed the disruption bomb or the stasis bomb on my units, which really sucks. We've done a repair there, and all that's done is bring me back 2 turrets, which is basically a waste of a repair, so I wouldn't be surprised in a second if I actually need another button, although it does seem that he's just going to strip my crew down now, and it's fairly safe to say that I'm going to be scuttled. But that kill on a unit there's given us quite a few points, and we managed to be scuttled just inside here, although he's still capturing, because obviously a scuttled unit doesn't actually contribute, but we might be able to go forward and capture this. Now we do have the repair drones still, haven't really made any use of them thus far, but we haven't needed to. thankfully, because not a lot of stuff has actually taken damage outside of the one unit that, let's face it, just got wrecked because it was in a very, very bad position against the carrier fleet. So we also have the 2 escorts up in the top left. We're going to send them back down to this uncaptured point, really just forcing him to not go to the right hand side of the map now. He doesn't have the pressure or the potential foot presence or map presence to be able to contest a wide amount of areas, given that he's only got 4 units. So this is really, really good for me. I can basically just tie him up here. Now it does seem that he is closing in. A little bit of micro time now. Let's try and avoid some of these torpedoes. Looking good. Oh, that was spicy. But unfortunately he is getting rather close, and it does seem that maybe we might be getting boarded in a moment. It's time for a boarding action of our own. We do manage to avoid the actual collision there, which is nice. So far though, no sign of capturing the scuttled ship back. With only 2 ships left that have a boarding action, it's just going to get lightning striked straight away in response. All you're doing is trading 1 lightning strike, but it's okay because we're decapping these points. We're forcing him basically into an uncomfortable position where it's really just a matter of time now till we win. It does seem that that's going to be another ship, no crew left. 2 of those units actually just strip the crew down completely. It's really worth trying to keep your fighters alive at the beginning, but 1 scuttle coming from one of our ships, perhaps scuttle number 2, is going to do a considerable amount of damage. Now we're down to a custodian and not a lot else, which is going to be pretty interesting. We're going to have to see how this unit fares if it stays alive. We've got the missiles coming in. We do manage to dodge them again. We've done pretty well at dodging. Perhaps here a head-on collision against the Orc would have been the best thing to do. In hindsight, I think maybe ramming it, at least for the memes, for the greater good, would have been a good way to take out a custodian, because it's fairly safe to say here that I'm going down. With his Ordnance heavy fleet, I don't have a hope, but perhaps we could have rammed him down with me. But guys, as you can see, the game is slowly wrapping up here in terms of points. We're heading on toward the end. Definitely some mistakes made on my part, definitely some things to learn. Positioning problems from me in particular, and some very, very poor use of the carriers. However, fortunately, because we made the very simple decision at the beginning to focus those escorts, it was enough to net us a victory in the end. And that's, I think, the take-home message. You can actually make mistakes and still win, provided you make good decisions. And that's probably the one thing, I know I'm repeating myself, but that is the one thing I'd like you to take away from this video. Make good decisions and you can still win games, sometimes even when you play a little bit iffy. Guys, have yourself a great week. I'll see you next time.